Hello and welcome to a brand new synth soundset walkthrough with me, the Unfinished. Oh, it's been a while, mind you. I think I say that all the time now. Maybe there's just big gaps between all my soundsets. Nonetheless, today we are looking at a new Diva soundset. This one's called Diva Gemini. You may try and guess what you think that could allude to, but guess no more, I'm going to tell you. So quite often, a support question or an email that appears in my inbox is one along the lines of, do you have any ambient sound sets? And because I'm clearly tremendously dark in nature, the answer is often, no, not really. But now it's, yes, really, I do. So that's what Diva Gemini is. It's a Berlin School kind of ambient analog collection. Basically, throughout all my other synth programming sessions where I've been doing stuff for film and darker stuff, occasionally I'll make a nice light patch that I like and I'll put it in a folder. And that folder kept growing and growing and growing until I felt I had enough to go through them all, pick out the best ones and turn them into a sound set. And that's what Gemini is. There is also a Gemini Dark soundset, which I'm also going to do a walkthrough video of, which is all the sounds that went into that folder. And then I thought, actually, no, that's not that ambient. That's not that bright and cheerful. It's actually still a bit dark. That's kind of a companion soundset to this one. But yeah, so if you're into, analog ambient, Berlin School, we'd probably tread on the toes of synthwave a little bit. And if you just need some really good analog vibrant sounds for your TV, film or game score, then Gemini is going to be a really useful tool for you. Went for the Scottish there for a moment. Let's not do that again. So let's jump into some sounds where we've got quite a few more ARPs than usual because, ARPs and sequences are very Berlin School. So let's kick off. Let's. So nice and lively and lyrical, but you can play your own chord sequences, and that's always good. Let's move on to the next one. See, pleasant. I can do pleasant sounds. Nice and soft bleeps. Mod wheel. Subtle further opening of the cutoff and a few interesting frequencies coming through. So yeah, there's mod wheel programming on all the patches as per usual. Evolution in that one, and we're really exploring Diva's analog vibe. I think there's an element that crept in particularly when I was collating which sounds I wanted to be in the final sound set of there's a reminiscence Interestingly, I was probably a bit too young to hear a lot of these sort of classic Berlin school sounds the first time round, as it were. But then as I grew up and sort of later in the sort of mid to late 80s, there were loads of these like synth hits compilations, which was full of Jean-Michel Jarre and Vangelis and Kraftwerk and Tangerine Dream, those kind of bands. And yeah, it's brought back a bit of nostalgia for those compilations. Sometimes they were the original recordings, sometimes they weren't. Sometimes they were unusual. So we're creating some dynamism again, which I've done on some previous soundsets using the trimmers to tune. So we've got the tuning over here going to quantize and modifications and into voice map. As long as the voice map's connected to the tuning in some way, you can fiddle with the tuning of your sequence. And that gives us that sort of more interesting bass line there. And of course you can retune it yourself if you want something slightly more avant-garde, or you just want it in a major chord instead of a minor one. You can do that. Nice bit of evolvingness. Evolvingness, that's not a word, is it? So we've got a few bass lines, not too many, because we've got quite a few basses, but yeah, not as many as I do in my more cinematic ones, definitely. Let's see what our mod wheel does here. Squelchy filter, that one. Nice, like that one. Very Juno-ish. And then we can move on to our basses. Something a bit odd there. So nice and chunky basses. That's quite nice. We like that one. Interesting. That's the mod wheel. That does some strange stuff. A little bit tighter and punchier, that one. Harmonics come through when you open up that filter. That's one of the things that Diva really does a good job of capturing, is that element of that sort of natural harmonics that analog adds to a sound. A little bit Kraftwerky in there, I think. I got a couple of guitars. They're not real guitars, of course they're not. This is Diva, and they're sort of synth guitars, you know, nice plucky sounds. So it doesn't sound like a real guitar, but it's not supposed to, so don't worry. And keys, we've got quite a few keys, I think, on this one. That's very pretty. So we have got some digital sounds in here, where the JP8000 oscillator is very helpful to try and get a bit of that that sort of PPG vibe that got into a lot of Berlin school. Sort of faux harpsichord there. What have we got here? Nice modulated bells. And there you see, we've got here PPG style. So there's, because obviously, in particular, Tangerine Dream used the Waldorf stuff a bit. So that's a flavour that I thought I'd have in there. Going for a bit of a Vangelis piano, synth piano sound there. Right, then on to leads. Got a few leads as well. Hurrah! Because obviously, you know, I don't often do a huge amount of leads in my cinematic stuff, so I've had the opportunity to really go for it here. And of course, these sounds have come very much back into fashion recently with the plethora of new hardware analog synths that have been released by companies like Moog and Korg and all the others. Apart from you, Roland. We're looking at you, Roland. Why don't you do any more analog synths, Roland? So, you know, artists like Lisa Belladonna, Martin Sturzo, who's got a really good YouTube channel. He's a bit more techno, but he goes into those ambient, sort of more Berlin school moments. And yeah, so it's really popular again, which is great because, you know, we can't get enough of those classic analog sounds. So you can get your Blade Runner on if you want to. Everyone likes a pluck. It's a little bit more Vangelis-y than I remembered some of these sounds. But then we don't know which sounds we're going to pick. You know, that sound just never anything other than lovely. Although with that one I did it with the MS-20 oscillators. Not real. Nice. We've got not very many loops. It's not a particularly loopy thing. What does that mean? Yeah. Nice analog drum beat there. Very much a synth drum beat, that one, rather than a drum machine drum beat. One mallet, so brave. That's got some nice, slightly atonal qualities to it, which is quite fun. Oh, I forgot I was going to mention this at the beginning. So I ran a little competition, before we go into pads, I released a rework with this sound set of Tangerine Dream's classic Risky Business cue, Love on a Real Train, which is just, that was always on those synthesizer compilations for sure. So I asked you to guess on YouTube. I linked to it on Facebook, on my Facebook page, and also on Blue Sky as well. It'd be nice to see more of you on Blue Sky. Yes, it would. Get off Twitter, please. Yes, so many of you answered. There were good sort of half and half correct answers and wrong answers, and not too many wild guesses actually. When I've done this before, there's usually been something, it's like, it's made with Quick Quack Viper. Or, yes, I remember that one. It's that synthesizer from 1992 that didn't work. No, this time, most people guessed Diva. Well done, congratulations. There were a few Zebra and Serum guesses as well, I seem to remember. So the winner is, I'll tell you at the end of the video. Oh, you tease, Bowdler, you tease. Pads. Of course, you could always just skip to the end. So yeah, not a massive amount of pads, actually. Yeah, I didn't go quite so crazy. I think I wanted to focus a bit more on the keys and the leads and the sequences. There's some good sequences coming. Well, I would say that, wouldn't I? And I wanted to do something a little different with the pads. Not always the most obvious sounds that you think might turn up. Hopefully. No, it's an ambient, this one. Let's see what the mod wheel does. Oh, that's nice. Cool. Let that one finish. Off he goes. Bye-bye. Ah, this should be fun. Went for a bit on this pad. Sometimes I like to. I like that one. I used that in the Tangerine Dream rework. Had to. Something a little gentler now, a little simpler. Okay, are we still on pads? No, we're now using a couple of soundscapes here. They're of the sort of lush, harmonic, one key at a time kind of vibe. So really lush, really ambient, very harmonic and beautiful, and just moving gently through different little tones. It's nice. And a couple of SFX patches as well, sound effects, Martian Midnight. Probably very silly, let's see. Not too silly, that's actually quite pleasant. Nice rippling, resonant thing. Sequences. There's not as many sequences as I thought, you know. But, yeah, this is some nice experimental and lyrical sort of space for me programming. It's a really weird timing thing at the beginning there. What was that about? So again, using the trimmers for tuning the voice map modulator there. Voice map active over here. Dream in Tangerine. Well, we can't possibly imagine what this is inspired by, can we? It's worth saying that there's not really an attempt to sort of recreate classic patches here. I mean, obviously we had the Blade Runner one earlier, which is a bit of a giveaway, but in general, I've not gone into Berlin School back catalogues and gone, oh, just hit the microphone, well done me, and gone, I'll make this sound, I'll make that sound. So it's very much stuff that's just collected and felt of that vibe, and then maybe I'd have altered them a little bit to make them fit in a bit better, but generally it's just sounds that I like and I made and I thought that fit. Plenty of echo on the end of that. Oh, something in a major key. That's rather fun. Something happening when I first hit a key on these sequence ones, where they're rushing the first couple of notes. I don't know what's causing that. It's not something that happens with the patches normally. They work absolutely fine. Something that's happening on my video, you know, when I'm being watched. Synth pop territory bit here. Okay, and then finally onto the synths. You know the score, things that didn't fit anywhere else, but are playable. Here they are. Sometimes it's where I put the harmonic and inharmonic stuff. Like that one. We might as well play the very last one, hadn't we? Module. Smooths out some of that twitchiness and brightens things up. Yes. Right, so yes, hello. You here again. It's that was Diva Gemini. So it's 150 patches. It's going to be £19.99 plus VAT. Whatever that converts to in your special currency where you live. Yes. I hope you enjoyed listening to those patches. It's been enormous fun going through that folder, tweaking them, making them fit, and having lots of... just doing something a bit brighter and lighter for a change has been quite good. So there is also... well, I'm going to quickly go on to another walkthrough in a sec. So Gemini Dark, there it is. And that's basically patches that were in that folder that created Diva Gemini, but that felt too dark, I guess. So it's not like Zebra Dark Edition. There isn't a HZ version of Diva, I'm sorry to say. That's if anyone's going, ooh, sorry if I've led you down the path there. Yes, so that's another 150 patches, and we'll go through that on the other walkthrough. It's all a bit darker, a bit more atonal, grubby kind of vibe. We're back into my darkness. And then you probably spotted Gemini percussion there. That's going to just go up on my free page. It's just a few complimentary drum patches that I made when doing my Tangerine Dream Love on a Real Train rework. I wanted some drums in at the end, so I just quickly mocked them up in Diva to pop something in. So yeah, there you go. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I've enjoyed doing this. It's been a while, so it's been nice to sit down and play with some sounds and chat. We're not chatting, no one's talking back to me. Or are they? They'd better not be. I've had enough of the voices in my head for one time. Drivelling. It's good to know that I can't possibly finish one of these videos without talking absolute shite, isn't it? Isn't that a relief? Oh yes, competition. I mentioned it earlier on, just before the pads section. Were you paying attention? So yes, if your name is FJ Martin or FJ Martin, depending where you might come from, you were picked out of the hat. You will win a free copy of Diva Gemini. Lucky you. Yeah, so congratulations. Everyone else, try not to be too jealous. If you got the right answer, well done you. If you got the wrong answer, it don't matter. You know, life goes on. Really prattling now. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye. 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 Go on.